We have a new sponsor and an old friend joining Envy Pillow here, Sierra Sil. With 2 rare patents and a money-back guarantee, Sierra Sil, available at Shoppers Drug Mart, London Drugs, and health food stores, is the natural mineral joint pain remedy you need.
Go to sierrasil.com, SIERRASIL.com, and use the code GF for 10% off. Hello there, I'm Lisa Brandt. Welcome to episode 45 of Gracefully and Frankly.
Great to have you here. I'm Erin Davis, and we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff this episode. Hope you got your favorite beverage with you, or you're all laced up, or whatever it is you're doing when you let us keep you company, and we're grateful for that. Just as grateful as we are for Envy Pillow coming along for the ride and making this free for you. Kathy and Kim, 2 RNs who had a great idea, turned their dream into a reality and help your dreams because you're getting better sleep on an Envy pillow. It's good for your skin, good for your neck, good for the planet, and good for us for having them as sponsors, Lisa.
Yeah, no kidding. And whatever you choose on their website, envypillow.com, take a look at the pillows, the sleep masks, all sorts of accessories. You'll get 10% off by using the code GF when you check out. So check them out at envypillow.com.
Coming up this episode, let us tell you about the birds and the bees and the doggies and the fleas. It's a bizarre story, and I know it was all new information to me, and I think, Lisa, it kind of blew your mind, too.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know how I'll get over it.
Food helps, but when to eat it.
We got advice when we were younger about the best time to have dinner. I was just in Italy, and it's late. Too late for us. So when is the best time to have dinner, and what should you consider when you eat your last meal of the day? Hopefully your last meal of the day, right? Not the bag of tortilla chips or whatever that have been calling your name all day.
In that beautiful Italian accent of that lovely Romeo.
That's right.
You shared with us last week. I know tortillas are Mexican. Just deal with it. Okay. And some tech that could save you a whole lot of hassle. It's really simple, and it is a fantastic gift idea. And no, it's not a sponsor, but it's a great idea. You're going to be so glad you listened. Well, Lisa, are you ready to become a great aunt?
Okay.
Like 9 times over?
Okay. What's going on?
Well, our little Dottie, who is 1.5 years old, had her dirty weekend. Actually, it was a long weekend. It was 3 days with the stud called Radar Love. Hello. And they had their, how do we say? They're joining 3 times. And what I didn't know was it's not like humans where it's kind of like one and done. And if you do your joining 4 or 5, 6 times because you know the beginning of relationships, you could put a decade's worth in one weekend. Anyway, every time there could have been more eggs fertilized. So this little Dottie of ours might just have, like 6, 8, who knows?
So is this why they have so many, like a litter of puppies, I guess, instead of just, I don't know, like, do they enjoy themselves? Does anybody cross their legs and have a cigarette later? Or is this just sort of duty?
You are looking for tawdry details, and boy, have you come to the right place.
I am. Did they do it doggy style?
No, they used the Canine Sutra, which you also have coined, by the way. I'm giving full credit to you.
Thank you.
So here's how it works, and I'm really going to try to keep this kind of family friendly, but I thought, when you see 2 dogs in the park, it's just like, okay, that's done and done. No, that's not at all how it works. See, we took Dottie up to her breeder where the boyfriend, Radar Love, was brought over. It's like he has like an 80s pager dressed like Don Johnson and he's ready at any time. So he was, and he didn't have to take a little blue pill or anything, Lisa. He was just like, he was on duty. He knew. He's actually younger than Dottie, which is, anyway, that's not important because age doesn't matter when you're in love.
Right.
Or lust. So Radar's mom, Trudy, and us, and of course the breeder, Bev, have them in this little pen together, and they've got their hands on their backs just in case there's any kind of reticence or any fighting or anything. But Dottie as soon as Radar was there, the hormones just completely take over. She had had a blood test earlier in the day, and we had to drive about an hour from our home to get her to her vet up north. And we get the call. We're on our way home with Dottie, and they say, bring her back. She's at her absolute peak. So we bring her all the way. I'm singing to her, girl, you'll be a woman soon. And telling her all the things, you should do when you're trying to attract a fella. Talk about him, pretend you like sports, like you did with NASCAR. But anyway. So we watched for a little bit, and they do that. But then there is the thing where they actually link. And this is where nature is so crazy, because his gift expands to like 5 times the normal size. I know. It's like this cannoli or something.
Oh my goodness.
And then it locks in like one of those toggle bolts, Lisa. He has protuberances that lock it in. And so they are locked together for about 20 minutes, but it's not uncomfortable for her because they are butt to butt. They form a V with all 4 legs on the floor, each of them all 8 legs.
What?
It's not at all what you expect.
My mind is just...
I know.
I can't conceive of this.
Well, as long as she conceives of it, that's the important thing. So,
good point.
Yeah. So they do this. And then when he's done, it takes a little while. And then the cigarette and the looking at their phones and stuff and deciding whether they're going to hook up again. Well, they did the next day and the day after. So we're pretty sure.
Well, what is a dog doing when it climbs on the back of another dog?
I think that's just dominance. I'm not sure, Lisa. This is stuff people will have to Google, and I'm not responsible for what you come up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Don't do it at work.
Yeah.
And you're right. There's a tail in the way anyway. Okay. Carry on. So how do we know if she's pregnant?
But the tail in the way, it's called flagging. Dottie's tail goes straight to the side. Like 90-degree angle to the side.
She does all the work.
Well, when is that different in any species? As usual. When do we know if she's pregnant? This is what really blows my mind, because the gestation is about 8 weeks. Dottie had her time with Radar 2 weeks ago, and we're expecting puppies at around Christmas. So if you do the math, it's 8 weeks, and we don't find out until a month in, Lisa.
Oh, wow.
Like halfway through. Imagine if you were at 4.5 months in a pregnancy and then found out you were pregnant. Wow. So there are ways to find out. Our breeder doesn't even expect us or want us to come up to the vet and have an ultrasound until she's about to give birth. There are signs she goes off her food. There is a little bit of a spreading of her little boobies down at the bottom, but she's so small and the puppies are so small that it's not like she's going to be carrying around a bowling ball.
Right. I mean, with the gestation period so short, it's no wonder they come out with their eyes closed and everything. They're half cooked.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. So then sometime in November, there might be, what, are you going to have like 8 gender reveal parties or what? What's going to happen then?
Exactly. Oh, somebody posted yesterday, here you've taken me off topic, but I loved it. I've been to so many gender reveal parties and they have yet to reveal a new gender. So there's a blood test too, and we could do that. We can order one online. You punch a little tiny pin into her lip. Get a few drops of blood, mix it up with a formula, drop it on a little test. And we're all used to that for COVID, but that's not how it works in this case. I wish we could just put it up her nose or other places.
Right.
So there's that option. We could take her to our own vet. That ultrasound will cost $200. Yeah. So, we're really kind of anxious to know. Anyway.
Well, I envisioned you running around chasing her with a pee stick, trying to get her to pee on it, but yeah. That's a little less invasive, but a little more work.
Yes, it is.
Wow, this is fascinating.
It really is. And I'm sorry if anybody's going, ew, I really didn't need to know that. But you've lived all these years and didn't know how it was done. Oh my gosh.
Half the podcast name is Frankly, for goodness sake. So there you go.
That's true. And as for Dottie, absolutely none the worse for wear. Very happy to be home, happy to see us. She didn't care when we left, when she was in the middle of the locking thing with Radar. It was like we weren't even there. I'm telling you, nature and hormones. But I don't need to tell you because you had a massive hot flash before this show. And who knows, you may be having one now after this discussion.
No, I'm good. But yeah, it lasted about 20 minutes. I thought I was going to have to peel everything off and just go under a hose outside in the 11-degree weather. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we will wait anxiously to find out if Dottie is with child. No, this won't be her first litter, right?
It is her first litter.
It is. That's right. It is because she was a show dog. That's right.
Yeah. And somebody said on Facebook when I told this story, why? And I said, okay, I'll bite. Why what? And she said, why are you breeding Dottie? Because it's part of the program. We have a contract with a breeder. It's the only way we could get this sweet little dog. It's a Swedish model. You do this and you go back for 2 or 3 litters. You get a little bit of money from each puppy up to 4. And then at the end of the program, she's all ours. So we're like foster parents, kind of.
Right. But she's a special dog because of everything she's won. And so they want to make sure they continue that bloodline. I totally get it. I don't know why I blanked on that. Must have been the hot flash.
You know, there's a reason we don't do this show on video. Like, for example, when I was talking to Jan Arden a few weeks ago, we did the whole thing on video, and they use a few clips. Sarah Burke, her amazing producer, uses a few little clips for promos, which is smart. But I'm not interested in video because you and I both come from radio. And right now I am sitting in a sports bra and track pants. It's kind of my sporty spice look.
Awesome.
Because I'm watching the David Beckham Netflix documentary.
So are we.
Isn't it good?
Loving it. I wish I'd watched it before I went to Italy. Because so many people want to talk about football, you know, what they call football. And we just have never really gotten into it. But I would have been able to at least speak a little bit about it, you know. Yeah. It's so good. And she's so open and expressive. She always just sort of looks like a mannequin. You never see her talking too much.
Right.
Posh Spice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Me too. And I have no interest in David Beckham except in a sexual way. I met him once, by the way. I did.
I know. You invited me to go that day and I said I was too tired.
Yeah. So there we were in my hotel room all alone. Poor Lisa. Oh, did I say hotel room? I meant on the field at Rogers Center in front of several fans, and he was there to throw out the first pitch. And I think I'd done the anthem that day.
Yes, you had. And
I went over like an idiot. What would you say to David Beckham if you met him? And then I'll tell you what I said. Okay, what would you say?
Pretty blah. That's probably what I would say. What did you say?
I said to him the same thing I said to Elton John. Oh, I'll wait while you pick up that name I just dropped. Was welcome to Toronto. It's like, I'm not the freaking mayor. I am not the Chamber of Commerce. Like,
that's not so bad. That's not so bad. At least it's friendly and welcoming and, you know.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say bend this, you know, or something like that, but just, oh my God. The stupid things we say when we meet people. Oh my goodness. And the funny thing, too, about the documentary directed by Fisher Stevens, and I wouldn't have cared, I wouldn't have watched except for this guy who was one of the counsels on Succession. He was great in that. He's been married to Michelle Pfeiffer and on and on and on. He was on with Stephen Colbert, and I went, oh, this is interesting because Fisher Stevens had zero interest in Beckham or British football. So it became an outsider's look, and I thought, okay, I'm in if you're an outsider. And so it's been really, really captivating and human. And I didn't want to turn off episode 2 at bedtime. So I will, because I had to go to bed to read the Matthew Perry book.
And how are you liking that?
It's incredible.
Isn't it?
And so in his own voice.
Yep.
I don't know if he had someone helping him with the writing. You're often offered that because how often are celebrities writers?
Yeah.
But it's so in his own voice, and I'm learning things about Suzanne Perry and Keith Morrison and their family dynamic
Yeah.
and Matthew's father, John. I'm just at the part where he gets friends. I know, spoiler alert, he got the job, and it's incredible.
It is, isn't it? I mean, he started drinking at 14, same time I started. All these things that happened and all the, again, we talked about this on our Matthew Perry, our extra episode a little bit, but you think the guy would have everything. And so many times it's just money doesn't solve everything. People, I mean, who wouldn't love to know?
Yeah, right.
But
try me.
Right, exactly. I'll show you how it can solve everything, but it really doesn't if you've got demons inside. Yeah, it's such a good book. I just found that he really understood himself, what he went through. He did the work. It's got depth. I loved it.
It was so relatable from an addiction standpoint too.
Yeah.
And that was part of what makes it so beautiful, is that you see yourself in some of these pages.
Yeah.
The being at a girl's apartment, Gabby or Gaby or whatever her name was, and all of his pals are there. And nobody seems bothered about the fact that she doesn't have alcohol in the house except him.
Yeah.
I remember going to a dry wedding once and I couldn't get out fast enough. As someone who wanted wine in order to have a social lubricant,
Right.
to be in that sort of a setting with a bunch of in-laws or relatives, I had no idea who they were, and not to be able to kind of hide behind a glass of cheap Chardonnay was really painful.
Oh, that would have been awful. Yeah, because that's the fuel that gets you through, right? That's when you learn you've got to start drinking before the event, right?
Yeah, you front end load.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we got a bit off track there, but speaking of track, I have to go back to TV for one more minute.
Sure.
When we were recording our special episode 44, which we truly hope you've listened to, it's the one where we lost Matthew Perry, and we talk about our feelings of sadness and anger surrounding the whole thing and just a sense of collective grief. You said you were going to leave the podcast recording at the end and go and binge Friends. No, wait, NASCAR is on.
Right.
And then we decided later, you cut out the NASCAR part because that'll make it more timeless and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That night on our PVR, NASCAR had recorded.
Oh, no. How did that happen?
You tell me how that works. Lisa, I don't know. And I have no idea. Get out of my PVR.
Out of the four of us, you, Rob, Derek, and me, Derek is the NASCAR fan, right? So that's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of it did you watch? Just kidding.
0. We're having trouble with our PVR right now.
I guess.
The other day, Jane, our 4-year-old granddaughter, was over and she wanted to watch Peppa Pig on Netflix, as one does. And, I'm not going to turn her down. So I'm trying to get it. And the TV's acting up and the PVR's acting up. So something wants to upgrade, okay? And it says, if you click this, you'll lose all data. And I go, what's the worst that can happen? It happens.
Oh, no.
Everything we had recorded, every piece I'd done on local TV news, which didn't matter. I wasn't going to watch it again anyway. Me on the social, wasn't going to watch it again anyway. All of my datelines, like 140 datelines. And believe it or not, Rob is going to print out those bingo cards so that we can sort of play a bingo when there's a hot FBI agent. You tick off FBI candy. When Keith leans on something, all these things. It's crazy. It's macabre. I know. So those are all gone. And now I'm getting NASCAR.
Well, the good thing is there's only one more race, so it can't happen too much in the future.
While we're talking about technology, let's talk about something that could really improve your life. And it's also a fantastic idea. This is not a pitch. We don't have any money in any of this. They are not a sponsor.
No.
But it could be a fantastic idea for your kids or your in-law kids for Christmas. And it's called a Faraday. Remember that, Faraday.
All right. So we have Faraday bags. Tell me about how Faraday came to your life.
We have a friend, Matthew, who lives in Toronto, where people are getting their cars stolen at record rates. Yes, they had a really big bust and they got a lot of them off the streets for probably an hour and a half. And now they're out there doing it again. But people have been stealing cars out of driveways like crazy and then shipping them overseas, changing their VIN numbers, their vehicle identification numbers,
Yeah.
and away they go. So our friend Matthew had his Toyota 4Runner stolen. I think it was a hybrid, which, you wait a long time for a hybrid these days. So Matthew goes, oh, okay, well, it's gone. Insurance company considers it gone. Fine. So he gets another one, can't get a hybrid. All right. And it gets stolen.
Oh, no.
Yes. They tracked it to, I think, Montreal. I may be mixing this up with another story because there have been so many about cars sitting on rail cars getting ready to go on the St. Lawrence Seaway. And Matthew's car was somewhere there. It was recovered. But at this time, he had a rental car. And there is a piece missing from this car of Matthew's, car number 2, that they cannot find worldwide. I don't know. I guess it's probably software or whatever. And so he can't have his car back. It wouldn't be any good to him. But the insurance company is saying, tick-tock, your insurance coverage for your rental is running out, buddy. So what's he supposed to do?
Right.
Caught between a rock and a hard place. And this has been just a disaster of, as they say, the 1% problems or whatever they call them. But it's been his own struggle.
Yeah.
So we told him about something called the Faraday. Comes in a little box. It looks like a jewelry box, as well as little tiny pouches about the size of the palm of your hand.
We have them because Kevin Donovan in the Toronto Star wrote about them a couple years ago. And because he had a much wanted vehicle that got stolen out of his driveway. And so the way they're doing it, these particular thieves, electronically, they're picking up codes from your key fob and then cloning it and using that to open the vehicle. So the Faraday bag blocks all of that and prevents that from happening. Somebody could walk by your front door, and if that's where your keys are hanging, they could do this. And then they're not breaking into it or anything. They're just driving it away. It's kind of crazy.
We have people who slow down near our house because between our house and the one next to us, there's a nice view of the water and the mountains and that sort of thing. But now when I see people slowing down, I think, are you looking for the code? Because Rob will often leave the garage doors open to air out his hockey stuff, which does not come in the house unless it's going straight into the washing machine.
Right.
So now we're suspicious as well. But we highly recommend the Faraday box. It often is paired with a couple of these little pouches. You put your key fob in your pouch and pop it in your pocket so that if somebody gets the code off your pocket as you're walking by at the parking lot at Winners, then they don't get to drive away in your car. And I know we sound paranoid, but it's actually happening.
Yeah.
You have to be aware. And it's only about $20.
Yes, it doesn't cost that much, and it just gives you that peace of mind. Traveling, I always use this purse that you can't, if you know how people can come up to you and get your credit card information.
Yep.
Well, we use that kind of stuff now, right? And we block that. So it's just another level of protection now against having your vehicle stolen. Nobody wants my car, luckily.
Why do you have them? Because I know Derek has a classic car from the 60s.
He also has a Hyundai Santa Cruz, and he was one of the first in Ontario to get one. When they first came out, they were way back ordered. So, he was driving around in one, and he was just concerned about that. And I thought, well, heck, I might as well get one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my little car, my little Kona.
I like your Kona.
Yeah, there's no sense in discriminating if somebody wants to just get a quick ride, and who knows, maybe the Kona will become the thing.
We'll say it again, Faraday, Faraday. Look it up. And while we're on the topic of tech, and this isn't in Canada yet, of course, we're getting into the season now because it's November where people are ordering a lot more online. We recommend, of course, fully and wholeheartedly that you shop locally if you can.
Yeah.
But because porch pirates are a thing for Amazon, here's what they're doing in the US. They're not doing it in Canada yet. See what you think about this, Lisa. It's called Amazon Key. It allows your Amazon delivery person a one-time access to your garage or the pin pad on your front door. They will leave your packages and groceries in your garage, behind your gate, and inside multi-unit buildings. So rather than go to an apartment building and you have to leave it out, and then of course somebody just walks by and takes your groceries or whatever, they key in a special one-time code that then expires. This person can't come back that night and do anything nefarious. And it gets your stuff into the garage or off the porch.
It's brilliant. Where's the downside? Where's the downside if the code expires and nobody walks away knowing how to get into your house? I think it's brilliant.
Well, here's the downside. You get your Amazon delivery person who's got a girlfriend who has been boosting cars, and she gets the code, drives your car out while her boyfriend's delivering in your garage. No, I'm kidding.
I guess, but the chances of that are pretty slim. Don't you think?
Minuscule. And the more people who have Ring cameras, the more it thwarts thieves, too. Anyway, it's just another step. There are folks who are going to say, no, I don't want someone in my garage, but usually there is what they call a man door. I don't know why. A door between the garage and the house that you can just, lock, and they can't get into your actual residence. I think it's a good idea too, particularly if it keeps your stuff safe. But that's what they're doing in the States. That's Amazon Key. And we don't have it yet, so I guess we're going to hear how it fares there first.
Speaking of Ring cameras, we looked in on ours from Italy, and was it ever funny?
Do tell.
To look and go, oh, it's raining at home. It's raining. And all that technology, I think, is really helping us feel a little more safe.
That's good. If that's what you're using it for, if that's how you're using your time in Italy, Lisa, to look and see if it's raining in Port Stanley.
That's my husband just checking in on the house,
Okay. So when you were in Italy, does it feel like a dream yet?
Yep. My Shutterfly book arrived and it's like, oh, yeah, I did do all that. Okay, cool.
I love the picture you took when you were in the gondola in Venice, and it's your sunglasses are a reflection of the buildings on the shore. I mean, brilliant.
If only I'd known I'd done it. But anyway.
So when you were in Italy, I know that you are an early riser and an early to bedder, but when did you eat? Because I know you try to acclimatize for where you are with the locals in terms of your body clock.
Yeah.
But there are discussions about when the best time is to eat. Do you eat like the Italians?
Well, here's the thing, and I wrote a blog, I addressed this at voiceoflisabrandt.com, but the Italians tend to eat dinner at 9 p.m., and that's just not my jam, man. I mean, when we were both in morning radio, I always ate early enough that I wasn't still feeling like I just ate when I went to bed, right? So that was sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This was inspired, actually, after I saw this article in Vogue magazine on when's the best time to eat dinner, because we were out of luck one day. The grocery stores, it was a Sunday, the grocery stores were closed in Italy, well, the town we were in, and all the restaurants didn't open till 8. So it's just a totally different life there. But all these studies, but it ended up saying between 5 and 7 p.m. is probably the best time, but make sure you're eating every few hours for your blood sugar, and make sure it's not within about 3 hours before bedtime. We eat like we're having the blue plate special at the long-term care home. And as it turns out, that's pretty good for our health. But everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
The 9 p.m. thing, I mean, when you were in Italy, did you eat at 9?
I don't think we ever did, because we were so zonked at the end of a day of walking and traveling and riding.
That's it.
That was never my thing. But it goes back to what Oprah was telling us 20 years ago. If you're trying to control your intake of food, don't eat a thing after 7 p.m. That was the hard and fast rule. Do you remember that?
I do. And yet this article says that it doesn't really matter when you eat as far as calorie burning goes. But I had that ingrained in me too from Weight Watchers and other programs, and to never eat cheese after noon. All that cheese I could have been eating.
What? Okay, I've never heard that. Do you have any idea what the logic is behind that?
I think my mom made it up. Just because there's so much fat in cheese. I don't know. But that was ingrained in me as well.
Or you'll lose your virginity. Okay, hang on here. Don't eat. I am looking it up.
Okay.
Don't eat cheese. Don't eat cheese before bed. Don't eat cheese before noon. It's the exact. Okay.
Before noon?
Yes. It says there's a popular belief that eating cheese before noon may lead to indigestion or other stomach issues. Okay, so I'm going to Quora, which is everybody's opinion on things. I certainly do, along with millions of other people. Yeah, tell the people who make the Egg McMuffin you're not supposed to eat cheese before noon. It's all BS. The longer we live, right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, I've always only eaten cheese before noon, so.
Oh, well.
Very strange.
Now we know, Lisa, if you turn this around, you could live to 104.
I think I'd rather have the cheese.
Yeah, me too. Hey, we want to thank you for joining us for our episode 45. And gosh, we're just so glad to have you as part of our Gracefully and Frankly community. And for joining us for that one, actually Sunday night that we dropped, just discussing Matthew Perry. Lisa, it felt somehow cathartic and comforting to do with you what I would have done Monday morning on the radio.
Yeah, I felt better afterwards, too. I felt like we had sort of had a girlfriend discussion about it and about how we were feeling. And, well, that's what this is about. It did feel good, and I'm really glad we did it. Great idea on your part.
I'm not taking any credit or blame. I'm just glad you're there. And we're glad you're there. And thank you to Envy Pillow for being at our side. And don't forget Envy, ENVY, pillow.com. We mentioned the Faraday, but there are some fantastic gift ideas there too. And you get the 10% off we mentioned off the top using GF. Shall we do this again next week, darling?
Yes, let's. In the meantime, let's convene on Facebook at Gracefully and Frankly page, and on the Twitter, the Instagram, the X, the Threads, and everywhere else people convene.
Have a great weekend. Talk to you next Thursday. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Bye-bye.